Google Maps is flat, it presents elevation profiles like that. I'm a spitting flat earth king. Sentence has a ring, doing my own thing. If earth was a big roast chicken, factually finger licking chicken, we just got the measurements missing. I'm spitting eggs and begs, begging the question lesson. I've said it before, time after time. I'm
Welcome
the spitting flat
to
earth
Flat
king
Earth Debate
of rhyme.
Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a Coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now, we are joined by Neil, Jin, Len, Refracted, Click OK, Adam, Arthur, and a whole bunch of people in the Flipside Discord server. So, welcome one and all.
How are you?
How you doing, people? Flipside, YouTube live stream. Welcome.
Hello. Hello, Nathaniel Westminster. Oh, sorry, wrong name.
Ethan Woodley.
Discord. Is there a different Discord?
No, we
sorry.
were talking about the Discord server from Globe Earth Dictate. Do you remember that? You weren't actually around, so you didn't get parodied. A guy with a similar accent to you called Paul did, and he ended up getting called Saul. So there might be a misapprehension if you were to go and look at Globe Earth Dictate and all the different parody names that were given to the different characters on the show at the time. They might assume that Saul is you, but it isn't. It's actually Paul, a guy with a similar accent.
Yeah, we live like an hour and a half away from each other.
There you go. To me, you don't actually sound that similar. I mean, obviously everyone in your neck of the woods is going to have your kind of accent, but to me, you and he didn't actually sound that similar. Yes, you shared the same accent, but it's like saying two Brummies sound the same. It's like, well, no. You know, I sound very different to another person from Birmingham.
John, was that hour and a half away from each other? Would that be a horizontal distance?
Well, that's the weird thing in it. For you and I, right, we're probably less than that apart, but our accents are very different. Now, if I had a strong Birmingham accent, which is actually where I'm from originally, well, you and I would have extremely different accents. But we're probably only, what, an hour away from each other? Maybe it's an hour and a half. But for an American, you're like, well, that means he's next door to me. You're like, yeah, we can cover the country in about 8 hours. Yeah. So everyone's got different accents and they might be only 20 minutes down the road.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Our accents are expansive.
But the difference between the areas is like being in a different country. When you're in a different state, it's like being in a different country, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, I know I feel like I've been treated like a migrant worker when I go up north to work. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's how you get treated when we actually go to a different country. If I went to Scotland or Ireland, when I used to do that as a rep, people would be like a little bit suspicious. What, the English guys come in? You know what I mean? Because it does get a bit like that. But within county by county, there is definitely you could go into the next county here, and it might be 20 minutes away, and people sound very different. It's weird. You don't have to go far to find a different accent in the UK.
And I and it's in different parts of Manchester. I mean, I'm not far from a place called Salford. It's quite a rough area of Manchester, like Oddsall Estate and around the Salford area. And people have really strong Manc accents, you know what I mean, mate, and all that, like a bit like Oasis thing. But then if you go to not Wivenshaw, like Altrincham and South Manchester, a little bit more not as rough and ready. It's still a Manchester accent, but it hasn't got that proper deep twang So there's, you can tell the difference there, and that's like, what? It's not even 20, 10, something like that. So yeah, you're right.
One deck, you're breaking up.
That's okay. We got most of it. We've got 80%. People are strange, as the song goes, and people are the same everywhere, with the exception of outliers. That is to say, the oddballs that aren't the norm are different because they're different to absolutely everybody and completely unique. But for the most part, yeah, as I was travelling around the world, people are all pretty much the same in terms of their woes and worries. I try and make this example with the rich guy that I described a couple of weeks ago, who'd got his Lamborghini and his W12 A8 on the drive, and he's moaning about how little money he's got and how it's all disappearing into the boat's payment scheme. You know what I mean? And people think this really expensive house comes for nothing. That kind of attitude, right? Like, yeah, so you're sat here with me in my very posh suit, in my very posh car, coming at great expense because you've blown up one of your, today there'd be £50,000 speakers. So your treble unit's blown, and you're moaning that you've got no money and how terrible life is and how everyone should appreciate how difficult it is for you. You're like, that's a nice Lamborghini. Yeah, well, that's only on a lease, you know. Anyway, people are the same everywhere is my point. So people are dirty, scoundrel, thieving sods, and, you know, we're all sinners. Sinner is the best word, because you might hear that and go, I'm not a thieving sod. You're like, no, but you'll be something else. The other comparison I gave, and I haven't given this for a few years, is being able to understand your own monsters, right? If everyone's a sinner, then you've got to be able to open up the closet door, look inside and go, yeah, that's my monster right there. People get to see it at the moment, right? They're getting to see one of my monsters. I'm acutely aware of it. Someone said in the pre-show, you don't want to be like that. People might tape record it. You're like, I'm broadcasting it. They might tape record it and use it against me. Yeah, they might. That is me, though. Absolutely, without question. That monster is me. Now, I'm acutely aware of that because I know, I would like to hope, all of my monsters. I've rummaged through that wardrobe, fumbled through all the skeletons. I've then brought my wife in and shown her. She was pretty shocked. Yeah, but there's a reason why when I'm saying those things, my wife's walking around and, you know, she's acutely aware of what I am. Same goes for her, I know what she is, right? But that ability to have that introspection is lost on a lot of our anti-flat earth counterparts. Many of them, and I've said this many times in the past, their reluctance to accept that Earth is measured flat is because it might require some introspection, and that absolutely terrifies them. The fact that they might have to rummage through their own dirty closet of monsters, that's them. Yeah, that scares the crap out of them. They don't want to do that. Definitely not.
Well, as a Christian, you find out that when you repent and you give your heart to Jesus, that as far as the east is from the west, that's how far he removes your sin from you. And as deep as the ocean is, that's how far he buries your sin. But there's still a closet that I have, and them bones still be in there.
Yep, me too. I know where my closet is. I know how many bones there are in there, and I've had a damn good rummage through, and I can identify them. One of the talents it's afforded me for being able to do that is holding a mirror up to other people's sins when they do it. I'll give you an example, right? There's one going on at the moment. Brian's Logic told us in a recording that I've got, quote, my book is about housekeeping questions, end quote. Brian's Logic. Now, he forgot about that little nugget of information that he dropped. Later, much later, I don't know how many months, 12, 8, 6, it doesn't really matter. I remembered and pointed out to Brian via Neil that his book was about housekeeping, but not in a statement, in a question. Is your book about housekeeping, Brian? And he chose to lie and say it wasn't. Now, once I pointed out to Brian that I got a recording of him saying it specifically, he changed his tune and then said, it's previously about housekeeping, just not anymore. Right, Brian? That's people being liars. Now, when you catch somebody and identify them for what they are, you hold a little mirror up to their own monsters. They hate it. Now, someone like Brian at the moment is accusing me of being a liar. Now, everyone's a liar, but I haven't done any of that sort of japery in this particular instance. I'm definitely capable of lying. I just haven't told any about my own book that I'm producing. But Brian chose to lie about his because he's probably scared of infringing on intellectual property now it's being discussed. So he lied. That's what people do. People lie. That's one of their monsters. Now, if you know that that is within you and that occasionally you feel shame, that's what it is, shame, because somebody points out your lie, then you will recoil. Most people recoil with shame. Now, me, yeah, I'm shameful. I know it. That's a sad fact that I have to face. But most people are. That's not necessarily redeeming me, but I'm still pointing out that everybody's scummy to a certain extent. Now, when it comes to what this subject's really about, and that's identifying that there's a creator, when you come to this subject, that's something I'll agree with everybody. I didn't want to face it at first because it scared me, made me want to, have to dig further into that closet full of skeletons. Because as a heliocentrist, Big Bang believing guy or girl, you can assume that there's no consequences to it all. The moment you recognise that we're in a contained system on a flat Earth, you know for sure and without a doubt there's a creator involved. If you want to get down to the brass tacks of the ontological primitives, you know there's a creator. And when you know there's a creator, suddenly that introspection's not just a closet you can keep the door closed to. It's something you're forced through, whether you like it or not. Now, I'm laughing about this because I don't care. I know, there's a lot of monsters in my closet. You get to hear them on the show. I've been doing this 10 years. You're going to see the monsters. A lot of my audience might not like it. They're going to go, I don't like it when you talk about another man's wife like that. Yeah, that's me. You can either deal with that and accept that that is me and my monsters. You're getting, I'm not going to say privileged, but privy to seeing them occasionally when I'm wronged. But that's within all of us for the most part. Some people bottle it up better, offer nothing but empathy, they eventually explode. But ultimately speaking, we've all got these monsters within us, and the introspection that's required when you understand that there's a creator is something that scares a lot of people. Like, really terrifies them.
Yeah,
that, in my opinion, is why
them.
I'm nearly done. That's why they brace against us and the truth in this matter. Because if it's all a big lie, all a big deceit, then who cares? It doesn't matter. It's inconsequential. You can get away with having as many monsters in your closet as you like. The monsters being you. But if you know there's a creator for sure and without a doubt, you're going to be requiring some introspection. Now I'm done.
Yeah, and you can, and you're willing to face them, but you also can turn around and throw somebody else under the bus and say, well, this guy's dishonest. Well, instead of Brian accepting it and looking into the closet, he said, I'm dishonest, because we all know there were 2 books being done. So that's not dishonest. I honestly stand by the fact that there's only 1 book being edited. So I take that very personal when you call me dishonest. I am not dishonest.
I've no idea
A
what
lot
you're
of
talking
times,
about.
accusations are reflective of the individual making them.
Yes, projection. That's what I said. Instead of facing it and saying, you know what? I did lie. I did say it was about housekeeping. Nope. Neil's the bad guy. He's dishonest.
But I mean, talking about lying and dishonest, I mean, I was watching a sermon by a pastor, I think he was called Will Duffy. He says it's okay to lie and deceive people. So I don't know what we're going to do about that.
Duffy's a
Imagine
Freemason,
a pastor saying that.
Duffy was asked on Modern Day Debate if he was a travelling man, and he answered in the affirmative. Now, as far as I am aware, that makes him a self-confessed Freemason.
That is a general understanding of why that question's asked, yes.
Right.
Or he could be a guy that just travels all over the world.
No.
Say that again. What do you mean, Nathan? Say that again, sorry.
I didn't say anything. I don't know what you're talking about. It's all good fun.
Usually after that question's asked, there's a handshake given, a weird-looking handshake. And then the 2 individuals that entered into that, whatever it is, completely changed the way they behave around each other.
Yeah, it's a nod and a funny handshake. That's where the term comes from.
Yeah, in the secret society of the mob, once you become a made man, it's like an inner circle. Like, everybody knows. They can't say it to each other, but they know with a certain look. And a regular person can't talk to them anymore like they used to speak to them. Weird.
Yes. Well, isn't this interesting? Should we do a bit of housekeeping?
Absolutely.
Is there actually anybody in Discord from the globe side of the discussion? I don't think there is, Neil.
Yeah, what happens is now that the flip side turned this button on as a server, they're all in the chat going crazy through midnight, 2 in.the morning, 3 in.the morning, right up until the start of the show. You'll see them in the chat skanking.
If you're going to do housekeeping, can I point out where the question's malformed if it is?
Of course you can, yeah. All of them are malformed. Now I don't want to, because there's no point. What's the point, Neil? There's no ballers here.
They're in chat. They'll come in. And it's a show. What do you mean? We said we're going to do housekeeping every Friday because there's some people old school that still want to hear these old arguments because they still use these old arguments. And then we could turn them into how that's how we used to answer them. But now we're, how do you say it? Now we're on another level.
Has Earth ever been measured any other way than flat?
No.
No.
By the pound, if you take 2 shovelful.
I mean, that's a heliocentric rhetoric, you realise. The whole point of the Reverend John Michel Cavendish experiment, which it's not, was to weigh Earth. That was its purpose. You realise that, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I always thought that was weird. How would he be able to weigh the Earth? But yeah, that's right. Mad.
By taking its density.
Well, what you do, right, you're actually calculating the density of Earth based on a torsion force applied across the horizontal plane of reference.
Correct.
Upon 2 balls.
That's
wow.
spot on. That's right. So in order to calculate the torsion force across the horizontal, you'll need a horizontal reference to describe it with.
Bloody hell, this horizontal gets about, doesn't it?
It's almost
Jim, what
like
is that called, Jim?
it's almost like
That's the
God.
horizontal constant.
It's almost like God inserted what you've just described, the horizontal constant, into every single Earth measurement without exception. And even went so far as to have a little laugh, God's a comedian, and make sure that all of the alleged non-flat claimed to be measurements also include a flat measurement. For example, but not limited to, torsion bar twist in the horizontal and downward vectors with respect to Earth's mass. That's gravity, by the way. Both require Earth be measured flat.
I mean,
God's a comedian.
It's funny that, mate, but he's like, you know, saying it for 10 years when everybody realises this. You know, someday somebody's going to be sat down saying, laughing about how what you described, that this is what the world used to believe. From a flat Earth measurement was a globe measurement, and everybody was, you know, the majority of the human race was convinced of this. This is something you'll look back on and think, oh my God, what was going on with the human race at that time?
Well, there's a genuine explanation
modern
for
world,
it.
remember?
The people who look,
Modern world.
there's a reason for it, though. The Riemann reason to it is because of psychopathy. So psychopaths don't have original thought. What they're capable of doing is recycling other people's stuff. So when I talk in terms of heliocentrism being tucked away in the vaults of Scientology, That is so it can be recycled at a later date. Now that's through pure logic and inference from understanding psychopathy. They don't come up with original stuff. They reuse and recycle other people's stuff, other people's material, other people's ideas. So when it comes to incorporation of an alleged globe Earth, what do you think's going to happen? Those who are looking to deceive, where do they get their source material from? Well, from existing source material. Well, if you're talking about Earth measurements, what do you think's going to happen? They're going to source all of the measurements that actually take place and how they're described mathematically. And they're all described mathematically with respect to a plane of reference. So what happens? You end up with the bullshit lies of heliocentrism having the recycled flat Earth measurements incorporated into the deceit. That's why all roads lead to flat Earth measurements.
Now, the way John just came up with that, one second, John, the way you just came up with that to me was amazing. But that would have caused a frown, say, 6 months ago.
Yeah, John.
Yeah. It was new. And it made us all, like, I know for the past, when I first noticed it, I was embarrassed. I didn't even want to bring it up at first. The plane of reference is so extrinsic and intrinsic to everything that we do when we measure. It's embarrassing that it hasn't been brought up more.
Yeah, I completely agree. I had the same feeling when looking back on the old debates at the Isle of Man. That's why I keep referencing it. It says it right on the tin. Sea level, surface level, eye level, distance measurement. When I look at some of the old shows and us going to Google Earth to get the horizontal distance measurement to the item that we're observing and debating about, that's embarrassing, isn't it? Looking back on it, you go, bloody hell. We were in the thick of it. And on a very rare occasion, you see a glimpse of someone recognising it. Well, surely we can just end the debate here at sea level, right? And then everyone laughs and things carry on as they were. Now, had that person had more confidence, they'd have gone, no, I'm not joking. Surely, if we're using sea level, that's game over. Now we go, yeah, sea level, welcome to flat Earth.
Well, the problem is we were looking for curvature. We discussed this yesterday. We were looking for curvature. So if you're looking for something, you're going to miss the obvious thing that explains that something you're looking for. And we missed it.
Yeah. But when you've seen that dancing bear in that video with the passes, right? Didn't you feel silly that you didn't see the bear before?
Yeah, first time I saw that, I didn't believe that the bear was there on the first play, so I had to rewind the tape. And I was like, oh, it was actually there the first time.
Well, Jim was saying yesterday, he always was saying sea level. I said, yeah, but everybody wasn't grasping it because in the process of you saying sea level, you were still trying to find the curve.
That's right. Yeah, that's why you're using the sea level to try and find the curve, aren't you? And it's not there.
That's a contradiction in terms. That's why we get so stroppy with you when you're like, well, we're seeing too far. Well, how far's far? What's the distance? Flat and measured flat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't use the word too far at all.
No.
So I don't never say that.
Fair enough.
Now, Jen's talking about when he's talking to a person looking into it, breaks down measurements in sea level and then shows them that there never was a curve. Am I right, Jen?
That is it exactly, in a nutshell. Yeah.
Jolly good.
Next housekeeping question.
I haven't read one out. I kind of came up with a new one. Do you want me to repeat
Yeah, I
it?
liked it.
My question was, has Earth ever been measured anything other than flat?
No, it is not. It's a statement of fact.
Right. So once you understand that, where are you going to go if you're debating this subject? Now, number one, Neil, before he says it, it's not a debate. You shouldn't be debating it. There's nothing to debate about. If you're going to talk about Earth, talk about how it gets measured. How does it get measured? Flat.
Yeah, we're in teaching mode.
Yeah. It only becomes a debate if when someone gets a little bit dogmatic, or not even dogmatic. They just want to know, can you elaborate more? You know, it's always there on the offerings. So
Fair enough.
You explain it.
Yeah, and you need to be able to back that up, because there's going to be certain, obviously, individuals that you're referring to that have a cognition that there's something untoward when you say Earth's measured flat. Now, the reality is, well, go and look at any measurement. Not my measurement. I'm not going to go out and get a tape measure. But go and look at how the surveyors actually functionally operate on Earth's surface, and you'll very quickly realise it's flat. What's that? In your reference on page 87, it says that it's a ball. Yeah, you'll find that. We're in the midst of a religious belief of heliocentrism where people believe they're on a ball. But all of their measurements are flat. Yeah, but they also say, after they've measured it flat, that's because it's really big. Okay, so what you want to do, now you found that Earth's measured flat, and that it's being explained to you as being measured flat, is grasp at straws to retain your religious belief. Go on, keep it. On you go. Fine. Believe whatever you like. No, it's because it's a really big... I don't care. You've seen the measurements, you understand the measurements, you're now justifying to me why it's not being measured as a ball. I don't care. Go away.
Yeah, but it never turns into a debate, because it's not a debate. You become the teacher.
Exactly. I'm
Only if you want to be. Hold on a minute. Only if you want to be. You don't have to be.
Correct.
Well, that's correct in itself. But that's what you do become. You're now becoming the teacher, because the person asks you the questions, you're going to answer them and help them along.
Just on that new housekeeping question, I'm having a bit of a to and fro with triangles at the moment.
Be right
now,
back.
I've asked him 3 times, like, for his evidence of Earth curvature measurements, as in the circumference of Earth, who measured it, what methods and equipment was used. One of his replies to me is, Wondek, I've demonstrated this in my videos several times, how we can measure distance over curvature. I said, that wasn't my question. So I've had to. This is the 4th time I've asked him now, and he can't answer. He won't come back with an answer. That's because there is no Earth curve. You know, his rebuttal was, I can measure distance over a curve, which wasn't. You know, I didn't ask him that.
Yeah, and distance itself is not intrinsically curving. It's extrinsically flat, straight, not curving.
Linear. It's linear with miles. Linear.
That's right.
Yeah, we've had this conversation. Yeah, the original measurement is a linear measurement. What Dave's trying to throw in the box as a red herring is, you know, if he had a curved lump of ground, he could measure from the bottom of it over the top and to the other side. Now, I wasn't asking for that. I was asking how Earth curves measured, as in the circumference of Earth.
Yeah, but that's
we
all.
Can't answer that.
Sorry, that's all they're going to give you. Or they're going to show you a building. They're going to show you still shots of a building where at one point you see, say, 6 stories, and now all of a sudden you could only see 3 stories. That's Earth curvature.
Yeah. He's whistling past the horizontal constant. That's what he's doing.
That's correct.
Well, they're kind of utilizing the horizontal constant is to give you distance and height measurements.
Oh, dear. You see, Nathan, every time we get into like this measurements, like the chat goes crazy, like 5 messages go on. So all I could do is say, just come on the show and stop cat skanking, please. Nathan will be nice to you.
No, that might not be true, Neil.
Don't worry about it. You'll be nice in the beginning. You let them get their claim out at least.
Yeah, as I say, you will be allowed to make your claim or state your question. How you're treated after that is dependent upon your behavior.
Exactly.
That was a good summary. That was better than Nathan will be nice to you. I'm genuinely nice. Like yesterday, I was nice to Ed Bear until I had to repeat my question in response to his request 4 times. Then I lost my temper with him.
Yeah, well, because he kept stuttering. And when you start stuttering, you're not being honest.
Yeah, he was being disingenuous and not conceding to the fact that Earth is measured flat.
Right, can you talk about yourselves? Talk about yourselves for 2 minutes. I've just got to do something.
Yeah, Nathan asked a simple question. Those are linear measurements, right? Well, it's kind of sad because Earth is measured flat. The Bible says it over and over again. His line has gone out to all the earth. In Habakkuk, it says he stood and measured the earth. And anytime you're talking about measurements, you're dealing with a flat plane of reference. Am I right or am I wrong on that?
You're spot on.
You are correct on that.
So what's the problem? Why isn't this eye-opening for everybody?
The problem is the people have lost respect for the plane of reference because it is so
obvious.
Take for granted that which you see every day and is obvious. Yeah, they've taken what is factually unquestionable, and they have put it into an if statement.
I'm saying ubiquitous might be the word you're looking for. It's everywhere.
That would be a good word, Arthur. Yes, but they've taken that and they've lost respect for it. And now it's time to take back that respect for the plane of reference.
Well, if you're involved in any sort of construction, you better not lose respect for that. Otherwise, whenever you're constructing, will not come out correct. You might not even be able to go forward.
Yeah, you might topple over and then you're into lawsuits and insurance claims.
Yeah, but I think that's how the world ended up in this predicament. Is it just something that people knew so well for so long, they just took it for granted. And we all do that. We have something, we don't realize how great it is. You know?
Well, I hold the generation responsible for this, Refracted, because there was a generation that could have withstood this, and maybe they were withstanding it, right? When this whole ball thing came out, how we're orbiting third planet from the sun. And I'm sure there were intelligent people resisting it. But what happened that they were pushed out and this became the norm? I still can't grasp it. You know what I mean?
Well, it's the argument was never from ignorance, right? It was towards ignorance. It's easier to disavow what you think you know into ignorance, right? So they would take the measurements and then misapply mathematics to them to say that, well, since we can't find the height of the star using these mathematics, therefore we're not using a plane of reference. It's not flat. You know what I mean?
Good morning.
Yes, Tim.
How are you, Ted?
Neil, to answer, good, thank you. In the research I did, it swept across the entire Earth. It took the Chinese to accept it late 17th, early 18th century. The Jesuits went there, tried to convince them of the new astronomy, and they were happy with their flat Earth elevation angle measurements, which allowed Admiral Zheng He to have 7 epic journeys with thousands of boats and men.
Yeah, I got the book.
So, oh, good. Hey, Jen, how are you?
How are you doing, Ten?
Good.
Well.
So when I started looking at the genesis of this new astronomy, it obviously had to begin somewhere. And as it was spreading, many people did fight against it. And there are books written by individuals, Protestant pastors wrote books saying, this is ridiculous. This is not what we are dealing with. And so they just got squashed with the tidal wave of momentum that this thing eventually gained. But yeah, there were people always fighting it. There are books you can get from the 14, 15, 16, all the way up to the 19th century of people saying there's no way the Earth is a globe. Water doesn't bend. They would use basic logic to fight it. But again, why did it take the Chinese so long to accept it? Well, because the old way was working fine.
Yeah, that was the reason for the Great Wall, because they'd done these 7 epic journeys and realized that the world had nothing to offer them. So they decided to create the wall to keep us lot out. Do you know that? That's what happened.
Well, they actually kicked out Matteo, who was the Jesuit priest, out of the country because he got close to the emperor's wise men and was trying to convince them. And the wise men said, kick this guy out. So they kicked him out, but he came back again. And that's when it started a new beginning of eventually some of the wise men of the emperor started siding with this form of new astronomy. Yeah, your old ways work, but this new way's better and it's faster and we got mathematics and yeah, thank you. So you took the old way and you now applied mathematics to make it into a globe, but you still have to use a horizontal constant. You still have to use a flat Earth. Everything has to be flat for you to create your mathematical version of it. And then you're selling us the mathematical version, and you made it a globe, but you could make it a roast chicken too.
So you're saying when they find... Go ahead, John. I'll go after you.
Yeah, I was going to say, the thing is that heliocentrism offers men of power the ability to not only usurp the authority of truth, but to place themselves in between the truth and the people. It is a mimetic virus in that way, because you're glorifying yourself as the ultimate authority with heliocentrism.
Yeah, it's the nature of man. Lucifer said, I will be like the Most High. And everybody's in a heliocentric model all of a sudden. So you're saying so once they gave them their ear, they were convinced. But at first, they withstood them.
Well, look, it's as simple as, well, first let me comment on what Refracted said. When your new way is a lie, then you know it's for power and control. All right, that's just my view as well. So metric measurements versus what the U.S. used to have. Now, I got caught in between. I went with the old, inches and feet. Now it's metric. Okay, now you got metric tools and the other version of tools.
Yeah, imperial. You're talking about the imperial. I love the imperial measurements, but metric is easier to use. Yeah.
Okay, except when you didn't grow up with it, then you have to learn it, much like heliocentrism. Yeah. You didn't, the Earth is flat, but now it's heliocentrism, i.e. metric. It still works, but guess what? You got to use a horizontal constant, as you say it. You got to use a flat elevation angle measurement, and the GP of the star and the zenith 90 position of the observer with the sextant, which is an angle measuring device, still must be a right angle triangle, and the zenith distance is parallel to the distance on the ground as well as the sky between where the star is and the observer is.
So what's the guy's name? Mateo. So as soon as he left, they said, "Build a wall. This guy's nuts. He's telling us we're living on a ball. Build that wall."
Sounds like a poem for one deck to write.
Never wondered why they put it into the science class rather than the geography class. Why wouldn't you teach heliocentrism in geography? Well, because it would be really apparent when you're teaching people flat Earth aspects of measurement of the surface in geography. When you say it's a ball, those two things are incongruent with one another. You can't have that contradiction. Whereas in science, you're hijacking the highest form of proof in terms of suggestions of an adherence to the scientific method. That is to say, because it has that underlying authoritarianism attached to the statements, you just accept it without having the overt contradiction to how Earth's actually measured in your face, which it would be if it was in the geography class.
Well, when you
I never thought
say
of that. That's a good point.
That is a great point.
when you say science in today's world, it means to the average person it's been vetted and tested and found to be true.
Yep.
But we know it's pseudoscience, not real science. And so the geography class would show that it would be pseudoscience, and it was not vetted and tested and true.
Yeah.
Yeah, they think it's the highest standard, don't they? Yeah.
Geography class would have demonstrated flat. So how are you going to make it a ball?
Well,
Can't
isn't
put that
that
in there.
isn't that the argument we have? Isn't
Yep.
that measurements?
Yeah.
Well,
What did they
they're
call us
having the
when we first got
argument.
here?
We're just stating facts.
What did they call us? Did they call us geography deniers? No, they did not.
You're onto something here, Nathan. I like it.
Now, measurements are geography. It's like, okay, I'll use measurements. You can use the science word, but I'm going to test your science to see if it was the scientific method or pseudoscience. So we're not done with that word, but I'll let you start using it if you like. But let me ask you something. Is Earth measured flat first with
Did you
planar
just say-
geometry?
Did you just say these are all science words?
Hold on a second. I think we need to start calling them geography deniers because that's
They
what
are.
they are.
No, they
brilliant.
are.
Yeah, let's start calling the heliocentrists geography deniers. Shout out to Unitox Femu, who says, how are we measuring height of the snow? I mean, if you're measuring height of snow, you're measuring it in inches or centimetres with respect to the plane of reference, because you're describing perpendicularity to vertical in height for snow. If you're talking about snow on the ground, right? I don't know what Unitox Femu is asking, but I'm assuming he's asking if you have 3 inches of snow, as we call it here in the UK. Oh, there's been 3 inches of snow. It means on the ground, but you're talking about height with respect to the horizontal, perpendicular to it. Thanks for the super chat.
Hey, 10th.
Yeah.
I'm just going to read. This is just for a friend of mine who's getting a little bit mixed up. So, seeing as you've done a lot of the research on sextants and celestial navigation, I'm just going to read a little question out that is sent back to me. And if you could answer it as simply as you could, I would appreciate that. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll try.
So the person saying that I've made a claim about sextants establishing horizontal using the horizon. This person is saying he pointed out the horizon is below horizontal. So sextants can't be directly establishing horizontal using the horizon. So how does it establish horizontal using horizon that is below horizontal?
Well, that's a stupid question, and he doesn't know his own verbiage from his own side. The sextant is using the horizon and the star. And when the mirrors are used properly, you bring with one of the mirrors the star or sun or moon, whatever you're shooting at the time of your elevation angle measurement, against the horizon. And you bring it down with the mirror, and you wag the sextant from side to side until you can best feel or see that it's 90 degrees with the horizon, so that you're actually getting the star's 90 position over the land or sea. Okay, that's the whole purpose, is to make sure that it's 90 with the horizon. Well, that's a perpendicular. Because if you weren't using the sextant method, you would be using the protractor with the plumb bob weight, because you're on land and you can allow that to be steady to establish your 90 degree zenith position. But at sea, you need to establish the star's 90 degree position with the horizon. So that creates a perpendicular. Not only that, when you say, if my eyeballs are at sea level, 0 degrees, do I need to account for anything like your version of dip correction? And their version is what he's talking about, which is not a correct version, because if you read their version, at sea level, there is no dip because you're at 0 degrees. So how could he say that question, that the horizon is beyond something? It is 0 degrees.
Pardon me. No, it's not, Tenth. What he's talking about is the differential between eye level and where surface level appears to meet the sky. There is a slight depression angle that forms there,
yes,
between
John.
those parallel planes of reference. And as you increase in altitude, that depression angle will increase because you're raising above the plane.
Yes, John, I know that argument. I've shared it myself. That wasn't the question I'm answering. And that would be another thing I would go to, is exactly what it is. It's the eye level above sea level, and that creates the depression angle. I've shared this many times on the show, but I'm not answering that question. That is the true thing that's happening. Read that letter again, one deck.
1 second. You made a claim about sextants establishing horizontal using the horizon.
Stop.
Okay.
The horizon is establishing horizontal, not the sextant. Move on.
I pointed out the horizon is below horizontal.
Stop.
So
Stop. That's their problem, because they're thinking there's that, as John explained, it's the differential between two parallel 180s. And they're saying it's coming around the curve and you got to lift it up or something. So he's got it all wrong.
Carry on. So the sextant can't be directly establishing horizontal using the horizon.
First of all, the sextant works on right angle triangles to get the elevation angle, and the baseline is not curving. It must be 180 degrees straight angle. And the GP of the star or sun and the zenith position of the observer holding the sextant share a common baseline, which is straight. End of story.
Yeah. So what well, we know what he's doing. He's not talking about this correctly. He's presuming and making stuff up that the horizon, which isn't a physical location, is below horizontal.
Exactly.
He has to
Exactly.
stick that. Yeah.
The horizon
what he
is
has to-
horizontal, but John's point then does immediately take effect at this point. So if the horizon is formed with the ground, it is. It's the apparent position where the ground meets the sky. Now, the sky doesn't actually meet the ground, hence it's apparent. But if you're looking at that point with your eyeballs are above the ground, forming that position. Therefore, there is a slight depression between your eyeball and the flat surface that forms the horizon in the distance. But then, as John also pointed out, in order just to describe that differential that they're appealing to, what do they need to describe the differential? Two parallel planes, one of which is the surface level. So it's idiotic to assert that this air of ambiguity can have an earth curve inserted into it, which is what has happened, let's be honest. But like all roads leading to a flat earth, in order to assert that this dip angle has something to do with earth curve, you'll need the dip angle to be from eye level to surface level. So there's two flat earth prerequisites in this.
There's four.
What's the
There's
third and
four.
fourth?
Yeah, there's four. There's the bubble sextant at 30,000 feet, horizontal. There's the eye line, sensible horizon, the one Nathan just talking about. There is the flat earth itself, the one that causes the differential between the height of the eye and surface level, sea level. And then there's their imaginary equatorial plane. Those are four parallel lines.
Yes.
Wow. So,
Well done.
10th man, while you're here, a sextant measures an angle between two straight lines, neither of which are horizontal.
What?
Are you joking me?
Did you say that one more time?
He's saying that if you, in a certain circumstance, if you were to actually use the horizon and you're at sea level, that's to say your eyes are on the waterline, he's saying, well, it's not forming a horizontal ever. Yes, it is. If you want to use it like a rubber ducky light preserver, this is a QE example.
Did you see that slide in your picture right now with the guy's head at the equatorial plane?
It's not actually this is an audio example, but yeah, it's the same thing.
No, but that black and white illustration I sent you. See that one right there?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's what is a true measurement, is your eyes are at surface level, sea level, and that's what dip is. Dip is get your eyes down there. So what's the difference? You're on a 30-foot ship, you're a 6-foot man, your eyes are approximately 36 feet above sea level. Make that correction, bring your eyes down to sea level, same as equatorial planes, the same as a bubble sextant, a flat horizon.
Well, that's where I would defeat this argument right there. So the devil's in the detail, and the detail in this example is to suggest correctly that there's a differential between eye level, when measuring with a sextant, and surface level. Okay, so that means that you can suggest that there's not an acquisition of horizontal. There's two horizontal prerequisites for you to detail the differential between them, but you're going to say that there isn't one? Are you nuts? Furthermore, when you're actually employing this practically, you have to measure your height perpendicular to the plane of reference to get elevation to start the calculation for the differential between the sensible horizon and the surface level. You're screwed 6 ways from Sunday. There's no way you're going to get away from the horizontal prerequisite in this example.
Right. And the horizon itself is where sea level or surface level appears to meet the sky. Yeah, levels, you can't get the horizontal and level separated. That's just not going to happen.
You remember the World War Z movie that I get my name from? And there was a scene in the cargo plane going to, I believe, South Korea to try to figure out where this zombie outbreak occurred. And there's a dialogue between the smart young man who figures he's going to figure it out and the actor Brad Pitt. Do you remember that scene and what took place there? Anybody?
I think
Fill
they
us in
took
anyway.
the smart guy.
What's that?
I think they killed the smart guy in that scene.
But no, he killed himself. He had a gun and he tripped as he came out of the cargo plane once they landed, and he fell and he shot himself in the head.
Okay, I remember now.
So
That's what they just did.
hang on. So anyway, the scene it goes. It's a great dialogue. He says something to the effect of, "This is the young guy who's going to try to figure out the zombie outbreak. Nature's like a serial killer, and it wants attention, so it leaves crumbs behind, little crumbs. Once you figure out these little crumbs, then you can figure it out." Something to that effect. It was. I'm not doing it justice, but it's something to that effect. So let me transition. The very argument that they're using, dip correction, is that crumb. It is our best proof. When they say dip, I smile. Because when you find out what dip is, it's exactly what John said. It's the differential between an eye line horizontal and the surface of Earth, which must be also a horizontal.
Yeah, step one.
It's over.
Step one, measure your height perpendicular to a plane of reference.
Yes. Yes. And then subtract it to put your eyes on sea level, and now you'll have that perfect right angle triangle.
Yeah, subtract it from what? Oh, eye level, parallel with surface level.
Yep.
Well, if
Yeah.
you
No,
look
so that crumb is where they want to lie to us, and they leave it there, and the world falls for it, but we're not falling for it, and we're going to use that against them, because when you explain it, they say, wait a minute, that's two level reference planes then. Yeah, thank you very much.
If you got time, I put something in Master B. This is what they're saying.
Well, go on, Neil.
Oh, I would love to hear
The picture.
Did you see a picture of a map? Is that what you're talking about? A map?
Yeah, you see the map? He says an angle from a curve, exactly the same as navigating east or west on a flat Earth.
East and west is flat. Didn't we cover this yesterday, Elder Bear? Is that why you were stuttering?
The elder bear is again trying to do a little mind magic here, and he's not very good at it. You can get to a curve, but not from a curve.
Yeah, get your ass back on here, Elder Bear, so I can shout at you again about north, south, east, and west being flat only, so I can hear you stuttering and stammering again.
Right, and what he's doing is taking advantage of how north, south, east, and west is used on a map.
Right.
And how you measure north, south, east, and west in reality. And then in between those two, understandings, he's trying to insert that there is a possibility that, we don't know this, therefore it could be a ball, which is insane.
It's not only that, they don't deal with the question in hand, like I explained before. When I asked somebody to provide evidence of Earth curvature, what methods used and what equipment's used, they told me that they've covered this in a video and demonstrated how distance can be measured over, a curved mound of Earth. That wasn't my question. They just divert to something else that you're not talking about or not answering the question directly. This is what they have to do.
It's a contradiction. There's no angle from a curve. Then it's not an angle anymore.
As I recall, the proper definitions, because there were more than one, of rise over run were shared with Elder Bear. Elder Bear refused to accept the proper definitions from many sources about rise over run. He kept arguing and arguing and arguing. You're dealing with a person who wants to waste your time on the show. Yesterday, I saw all these people, or it could have been the day before, back and forth with Elder Bear. I would stop. He's here for pain relief.
Yeah, but I wanted to get that on a live show because it makes him look silly.
No, it's silly to allow someone to come and disturb the show when they can't even accept a definition from their own side.
Yeah,
This is true, 10th man. This is true.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me how they can appeal to the authority that they have granted pseudosciences and things of that nature. But when you cite those same sources they have granted this authority to, they deny it. It makes you want to choke them.
Geography deniers, all of them.
It's because deep down inside, they want their globe.
Yeah.
Tim's right. And I said to you, lads, I have not done it for a while, and I found myself getting dragged into it after the show on Discord with Elder Bear for an hour, going back and forth. And I've found myself, I'm back at a position where I'm arguing about what bloody level is and horizontal. I'm past that. So
one deck. You don't have to answer this question. I'll answer it for you. How old are you, one deck? Blah, blah, blah. How many hours in a day? 24. How much of it do you want to waste of your life on useless arguments? None.
Yeah, because it's not arguments, it's just measurements. But every now and then, Penty, you almost poke me into it too, Elder Bear. It's like you want to stop them from spewing in nonsense, especially in chat, because new people are coming in, right? So you want to help them along. But you know what? I'm not going to do that no more. If people can't see the obvious, then I have nothing to do with it.
The obvious was said at the beginning of the show. When Nathan's live, they disappear. But they're in chat skanking till 2 a.m. They are here for a different reason. They want to cloud all the discoveries, all the nuances that we're showing that show how they have to use a flat earth to create their mathematical globe. They don't like that truth coming out, so they got to be in chat spreading lies. And then when they do come on the show, they get embarrassed because all we have to do is say, define what you're saying. Okay, well, then you just proved the flat earth. No, I didn't. Rise over run isn't that. No, I didn't. And then it just goes on and on. You're just dealing with someone who will never change because they're in pain.
Yeah, and I think the
Yeah,
pain
you
is.
I have never worked for anyone who was talking about level and said, okay, well, what elevation are we so we can figure out the arc of level? That has never happened. It will never happen. It is the dumbest thing I've ever said in my life.
If it does, I'm quitting, because when they ask, I get a measurement, they ask what the arc level is, I'm out. And we're being accused of attacking the man and not the argument that man. So let me just address this real quick. We're not attacking any man. There is no argument. We're telling you Earth is measured flat.
Yeah, and it's back to the beginning of the show where I said that this is done out of a fear of introspection. If you're arguing about the curve of level, then you're not concerned with the skeletons in your own closet. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. If you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, however, stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So, another massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member. Hit me up on PayPal and Patreon, smashing the super thanks, all that good stuff. Also, of course, another massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
Google Maps is flat, it presents elevation profiles like that. I'm a spitting flat earth king. Sentence has a ring, doing my own thing. If Earth was a big roast chicken, factually finger licking chicken. We just got the measurements missing. I'm spitting eggs and begs, begging the question lesson. I've said it before, time after time. I'm the spitting flat earth king of rhyme.